guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're diving into a topic that's ruffling some feathers, how millennial parenting is ruining Gen Alpha. Now before you get all defensive, I'm a millennial parent myself. This episode is not an attack on parents, but instead it's about looking at these certain parenting trends and how they're affecting the next generation and what we could do to prevent them. Before we begin, I'm Sabrina, the creator of Helpful Humans. Be sure to like and subscribe below so that we are always up to date on the newest videos coming out.
I need everybody else in my generation to promise that we are not going to raise iPad children. Please. I just saw a TikTok from some millennial, and she was like, here's a message to Gen Z. You might make fun of us, but watch out. We're raising the next generation, and they're going to eat you up. Your kids can't read, okay? You're raising Gen Alpha. They're bizarre and terribly behaved. Y'all bred iPad children. You have been shoving media and screens in these kids' faces since birth.
What the Sigma? What the Sigma?
Bro.
What the Sigma?
The biggest challenge for parents of this generation is going to be technology. And I think that we don't know what we don't know. I saw a video on TikTok of this woman who has a 4-year-old now, and she was saying that she's now regretting giving her kid an iPad when he was a baby because now when she takes the iPad away, the kid goes bananas.
Young Gen Z teachers are talking about the poor behavior of Gen Alpha students, and some of y'all are finally starting to believe us when it comes to how much we've missed the mark on raising these kids right.
Why are your kids so awful? And more importantly, why do you think it's so funny?
So us millennial parents have had a unique set of challenges that we've had to face. We are balancing work-life balance like no other generation has before. Sure, we're the generation that has the awesome Duna car seat stroller and the snoo that makes sleeping easier for babies. We are also the generation that now has social media and technology and iPads and all these things that we are introducing into our children that we've never had to deal with before. So some of these things that are supposed to make our lives easier aren't exactly setting Gen Alpha up for success. So first, let's talk about technology and how we're raising these iPad children. And I'm talking about your everyday Joe Schmo child, not a child who has autism, who some of these technologies could actually benefit those kids. We're talking about this idea of tech-based parenting. Digital devices are everywhere. You got tablets, smartphones, all these things that you could take with you now instead of just plopping your child in front of a TV and watching a movie back in the 90s. Now we're able to take everything with us, and it's a constant feed of this quick entertainment. And the worst part is most of it is targeted at children. You even have YouTube for kids now. When you're a stressed out parent and you're just running on fumes, trying to get everything done, handing your child a tablet seems like the easiest thing to do. With all this useful technology, it's actually raising a generation of kids who have shorter attention spans than ever before. Studies are showing that Gen Alpha is having issues with socialization, problem-solving skills because they're just not interacting as much in person as they ever were before. I don't even need to get into the studies for you to really understand this. I mean, think about it. We didn't grow up with smartphones. I got my first smartphone, I guess, in college, and that was when they first started coming out, and I am already addicted to my phone, and I didn't grow up with it in front of my face as a baby. So I can't even imagine how these kids are who are growing up from day one with smart technology. They are constantly just needing to be entertained, or they're handling their emotions with a screen. It just blows my mind. Could you imagine what's happening to these kids? And to go along with the idea that the kids are not socializing because they're on tablets, and maybe you're going to argue, well, my kids still get out and they are still interacting with friends. Think about this. When you go to a grocery store, probably 9 out of 10 kids in a cart are on a phone or on a tablet. They're not actually sitting there interacting with the people around them. Instead, they're glued to a screen so that way their parents are able to shop as fast as possible. The grocery store is filled with so many opportunities for kids to actually learn social skills, problem solving, math, so many things. It is so valuable, and we are just cutting that out of their lives because it's so much faster for us to go through a supermarket without having to deal with any tantrums that could ensue. But I would argue that the better thing in life is always the harder path, but it will be worth it in the end. So while taking your child to a grocery store without an iPad sounds like a terrible idea, at first it's going to be hard, but eventually your kid will learn, and actually they will become people who are able to go into society and go grocery shopping without having a phone glued to them. This also goes for restaurants. So many restaurants, when we go out to eat, there are kids sitting at the table with their parents with a tablet, entertaining them instead of interacting with the table, talking, and learning how to socialize at a restaurant.
That was last week. Let's move on. Chapter 2. Can we please do that?
This is crazy. When are these kids going to actually learn how to socialize if we aren't the ones teaching them? Again, this isn't to judge anyone. We are such a busy society. We're all doing this. We are in this busy, busy mindset, and it's time to break the cycle. Time technology feels like the only way to get a moment of peace. And I feel like us adults feel that way too, right? At the end of a long day, maybe from work and kids and all this, all you want to do is just kind of vegetate on your phone in your bed and scroll. But relying on screens can stunt growth in so many ways. I also feel like I've dumbed myself down since getting a phone because I feel the need for instant gratification more than I ever did before. Let's dive into this idea of the instant gratification and this convenience that we are all addicted to. We have DoorDash, Uber Eats, all these things so we can get food delivered to us instantly, Amazon Prime, next day shipping, Netflix, movies on demand, you name it. We are a society of instant gratification. And that is why if you look at actually Instagram Reels or TikTok, you have to be able to grab a person's attention within like the first second because our attention spans are so short. And Instagram is geared for adults. So even us as adults have such a short attention span. We are raising our children to have even shorter attention spans. This is just mind blowing. All this happening of this instant gratification of delivering meals, kids aren't actually learning how to cook or clean or do these basic life skills. More than ever, parents are telling their kids, go put on a movie, go put on a show. Well, I do all the cooking and cleaning so that way we could get things done quick. We want to do everything so quickly that we're actually not allowing our children to help us, and then they will never learn. Always opting for convenience. We're missing the opportunity to teach Gen Alpha how to help out. Our kids have the innate desire to want to help us. So if we jump on this opportunity when they're young, even at the age of toddlers, they will grow into older children who want to do the chores because they just view it as a way of life that you always have done. When young children ask us to help us around the house with the cooking or the cleaning, and we just tell them, go watch TV, and then later on in life, when we're asking them why aren't they doing anything to help around the house, why would they want to help us when all we told them was to not help us when they were younger? So now they're kind of trained to think that they're not wanted. Their help isn't valuable because we never valued their help to begin. And if they view themselves as not a value to the household, then they'll never want to pitch in with these responsibilities and they'll never learn how to. And if they are viewing themselves as not valuable to the household, then they will never learn how to handle responsibility. This is why I'm such a big advocate for having your children help you with chores around the house because it teaches them way more than just cleaning and cooking. It teaches them problem solving, builds their inner confidence, and builds their independence. And that's why I created the independence course. You could check it out below. And there's also a freebie below you can click of how to get your kids involved with chores today. Montessori is all the rage right now, and one of the biggest principles of Montessori is to involve your children at a young age. Sure, they're going to slow you down initially, but you are building the skills in them to become capable and independent adults, and that is super important. There are different types of parents that we are dealing with in the millennial parenting. We have the gentle parents, the helicopter parents, the authoritative parents, and the permissive parents. And I would say the majority of parents are gentle parents, and hopefully in the truest form of that, which is defined as a parenting style that holds firm boundaries but doesn't use physical force, really yelling, but does hold firm boundaries. And I think majority of people are parenting this way, not permissive parenting, which is what's getting confusing about gentle parenting. Permissive parenting is when you're not holding any boundaries and you just want to be best friends with your kid and not be firm in anything. And that is what a lot of people are kind of making fun of gentle parenting for, thinking that you're just always in tune with their emotions and not holding any boundaries. And I would like to think that most people are not parenting this way. There is a lot of satire on the internet showing that otherwise, but I do think that most parents do hold back. Now, a lot of parents are actually helicopter parents, and it's not talked about enough, where millennial parents are constantly worried about their child having any discomfort at all. And this is physical discomfort or even just emotional discomfort that you're afraid in the future that your child is not going to like you or have any sort of wrong emotions and that you are damaging. And I think there's a fine line between protecting your child and micromanaging your child. So the type of helicopter parent that micromanages in such a way that doesn't allow your child to do anything because they just want to control the entire situation. So for example, if you're baking with your child and your child is cracking an egg and you are constantly critiquing how they're cracking this egg and it's making a giant mess everywhere and they're not doing it the right way or they're not cutting the food the right way, why would your kid want to help you anymore? Because you're not creating a positive experience for them to want to continue helping you if you're constantly micromanaging over them. Imagine yourself at work, someone micromanaging over every single thing you're doing as you're learning maybe a new task, critiquing every move that you make. You're not going to want to work in that environment. And the same thing goes for our children. Kids aren't allowed to struggle a little bit, make mistakes, and figure out things on their own, then they're never going to build resilience. Helicopter parenting can cause too much dependency, and that is not what we want for the next generation. We really want our kids to be independent. And as much as it hurts to think that your little baby bird is going to be flying away from the nest someday, that is the goal, though. You do want them to be independent. But permissive parenting, there's a lack of accountability. There's no boundaries that are held, and discipline is avoided altogether, and it's about just being in touch with your emotions, which I think is really ironic that most permissive parents who are just handing your child an iPad for them to be quiet, you are actually not teaching them how to handle their emotions, because when your child is upset, here's the iPad. When your child is screaming, here's the iPad. So how is that teaching them how to handle the anger that's built up inside of them if you're teaching them that when you're angry, look at the screen and that will calm you down. When you're feeling sad, look at the screen, it will calm you down. When you're feeling overwhelmed by your surroundings or you're feeling bored, handle the screen, it will calm you down. That's not teaching them anything. It's teaching them to depend on the screen. And that is the scary thing that's happening in America right now. And that is the scary thing that's happening right now. All these kids are depending on screens to handle their emotions. What is going to happen? Kids need to understand their emotions. They need to understand what it feels like to be angry and how to handle that in a positive way. Discipline doesn't need to be something harsh. It just means that you need to have boundaries for kids so that way they learn to build up some sort of respect and responsibility so that way they're able to become adults. Something that's really trending right now is bringing back this idea of the 90s childhood. And I think it's because we all loved our childhood so much. We grew up watching some TV, but we also grew up playing outside with the neighborhood kids and just being in the fresh air for majority of the time. We didn't have these portable screens, which I think is so important. I'm not saying to cut all screen time for your children to have better kids. I think there is a difference between a kid with a portable screen versus family movie night. And our son, who is 4 years old now, he hasn't watched anything until really this year. And the only thing that we let him watch is like a family movie together. I think there is something beautiful about this idea of creating a shared experience with your family versus you off by yourself watching some sort of fast-paced show. I'm very picky about the movie that we even pick for our family to watch with him. It's something that's like a slower paced movie and also maybe something that we read. So for example, we've read Charlotte's Web together and we have watched the live action of Charlotte's Web. It's a slower paced movie. It's something that he read and it's something that we read together and then we all enjoyed it as a family. And I think these shared experiences are great. The idea of having an iPad at the table when you're at a restaurant or in a cart when you're food shopping or just somewhere out in public where you could be having these social experiences, that's when things are going wrong. Or the idea of having your kid just be babysat by the screen while you get everything done around the house. Kids can help and they should help you around the house. This is how kids are going to learn that these are the things that we do as a family together. The idea of building the family as a team. We are all a team together to have this house run, and these are the chores that we do just together as a family. And I go over this extensively in the independence course. This idea as a family, as a team, and these are the chores that we just do as a family together for the house to run. I want to raise a better Gen Alpha. That doesn't mean we have to get rid of all screens. That doesn't mean we have to become these crazy authoritative parents. It means finding a good middle ground and just enjoying the time that we have with our children more and maybe saying yes to letting them help us out more so that way they learn these life skills to become better members of society. Thanks for sticking around. Let me know below, do you think lazy parenting is a real issue? I'll see you in the next video.